Hey friends, happy Juneteenth. And today, like I said in my previous video, I'm going to do a series of videos highlighting black nerd culture. And one of the greatest stories I've read in the past few years have been one from Boom Studios, um, 2021 Dark Blood. It is so multifaceted and so deep. And the art is brilliant as well, and it comes from a place of reality. We have Mr. Avery Aldrich, who is our protagonist, and he's a World War II veteran, a pilot, and he's in the 1950s. And so, the first conflict you see is this turmoil of, he's a decorated war veteran that nearly died for his country, and he comes back to America and he has to address everybody as sir and ma'am, and he is legally allowed to be and expected to take insults and disrespect. Um, I think this is a very relevant story today when you have black political figures touting the benefits of Jim Crow. But I'm not going to get into that. That's more political than I want to do. But I mean, it's weird how something that seems so long ago is still so relevant today. But the storytelling in this is non-sequential, and you meet him as he is working, current day at the diner, and you just drop right into his life, and he's walking home and he has a conflict, and it starts off, and it tells time by the variants, and so this was the time of the variants. As you go to flashbacks, 10 years before the variants, so on and so forth. So he's in a confrontation with a white patron from his, restaurant, and then boom, you jump cut it into a flashback of him flying over Europe during World War II, and it's very jarring cuts that told the story perfectly. And so throughout the 6 books, you may experience 24 hours or so in time, but between the flashbacks and the way that they tell the story non sequentially, it's a 10-year story. But after being captured by Germans and tortured, he came back to not only oppression but with a lot of pain, chronic injuries, which is something I can relate to, being a chronic pain patient myself. Um, but he takes it all in stride, and eventually he comes across a doctor who, wants to help him for free. But of course, he is part of an experiment done on primarily black veterans that gave him superpowers. And what he does with, at first he is perplexed, and I say fearful of these powers. But what he does is when he learns to control them, he uses them to fight on the side of the civil rights movement. And so I think that is, it's very cool. You have him interacting in times and issues that happen, and coming across figures like Martin Luther King. And, like I said, the art throughout is beautiful, really captures that time period. And then you have things like, let me see here, pretty sure it was in number 1. Yeah, I reread this last night, and it literally just flew by. I went through all 6 books, and it was, it was one of those quick reads. Let me see here. I'm looking for something in particular. we go. Here's a panel showing his family, along with a flashback to the war. And then right here, this is what I was talking about. How you see, in the paper, it's referring to the bus boycott in Montgomery, and that actually becomes a big plot point in this story as well. And so I can't suggest it enough. This is back around the time when I would say that Boom Studios was really getting, they were really putting out a lot of great work, and this is just one of many great books they put out. But it's really, in hindsight, going back, it's unlike anything else that I've seen from them since. And I would like to see a continuation of this story. Um, where the story leaves off, it leaves open-ended possibilities to continue the story in two distinct directions. And so I'm hoping that they pick up this thread and that maybe we can see a Dark Blood Volume 2. Boom Studios, if you're watching, loved it and I want more. But the main reason this really appealed to me is because two of the biggest influences in my life, male influences, are my father and my godfather. My father is no longer with us, and my godfather is, and he's a man who to this day has struggles physically and mentally from his time serving his country in Vietnam. And my dad was stationed overseas around that time as well. I don't know if he was. I don't know if he was ever in country. I know he didn't like to give a lot of details about it. But one thing they both experienced was, the heartbreak of going and risking your life for your country, and then coming home to oppression, and legal dehumanization, and it created struggles that followed them their whole lives. And so I think that this is an important story as well. And we talk about Juneteenth. A lot of people, they claim it's divisive, but it's not. It highlights a lot of these stories and puts a spotlight on history so that we can heal. Because if you can't diagnose pain, you can't heal pain. And this book is, great insight to what veterans of color went through in previous generations, and gives you a lot of empathy and understanding to them. So anyway, 2021 Dark Blood Boom Studios, happy Juneteenth, and I will see you next time. Until then, keep reading them books and happy Juneteenth.